Hello everyone, Krydax here. Welcome back to our Pyanodons playthrough. In this episode we are going to be improving our power, picking up sort of where we left off, and fixing our power issues, which currently we're having a lot of if we look at our main power grid. It might be, yeah, it's close to caught up at this point since it's been running for a while, but we definitely don't have enough to handle everything that we're using. So my plan is to switch around the coal gas creation process in potentially two ways. The main way we're going to switch around is changing these to use oxygen along with coal gas, and that gives you a lot more syngas. And then the electrolyzers making oxygen also make hydrogen, which can also be used instead of syngas to make more combustion mixture. Now I think the temperature of combustion mixture that it makes is a little bit lower, but it still is essentially free power from, biomass. And the biomass we'll probably need to make some more of as well. So we'll be doing all that in this episode. I'm expecting to need just a single large factory building. We're going to move everything into, I guess, a medium factory building. We don't have larges yet. That will be a very long time from now. So we'll do one for the power and syngas, and then one for the biomass. And then we'll grab another small one as well. And I'm going to grab some extra inserters, since those have finally gotten their way to automation. And what else should I grab? Let's get rid of a couple things that people definitely won't need. Don't need steam engines. Don't need a lab. Don't know where that came from. Speaking of lab, let's look at some researches here that we can do to make our lives a little bit better. We can definitely do some crafting speed, movement speed, player reach. We'll get those done. We'll do research speed. And what else can I do? I can unlock stacking 2, which I'll have to do at some point, so I might as well do that. And then there's a lot of new researches that unlock things for Pyanodons. Phyto mining. Iron enriched biomass. Tin enriched biomass. So I guess I can actually make, by combining tailings and some plants, I can make ore plus biomass, which is interesting. So I have no idea if that's efficient or useful, but we can do it. We can get different manure recipes that require food, which we definitely don't have set up yet. So I'll probably just do all the stage 2 processing researches. That's everything I can queue up for now, but it doesn't look like there's a ton more we can do at the green science tier. In terms of completely new technologies, we can just upgrade some more of our processes. Like rubber, for example, we are going to want to upgrade. And let's remind ourselves real quick, what is it that we want to change? Right now we're doing this recipe. By adding organic solvent, we can get a lot more rubber, really without any changes. So I could... How much organic solvent do I have? Let's see. 2.2 thousand, so not tons, but I could use the solvent I'm getting from making circuits to just give me some free rubber, essentially. But the main one that I want to switch to is this one that gives me 10 for every latex. And so it still needs the same amount of polybutadiene, a tiny bit more carbon black, but that's easy to make. And styrene is the main problem, because ethylene, which requires methane. Or I guess I could do this recipe. Lead and BTX. BTX is made essentially from crude oil. that might be a better way to make ethylene. Methane's expensive, as we discovered from the whole moondrop process, so we can dive into rubber another day. We'll put that on our list. Improve rubber. So back to improving power, we are going to need, let me just build some buildings while I'm down here. We're going to need some electrolyzers. Just start with 5. And then I'll probably need some more gasifiers. We'll do 4 more of those. I will most likely need... Well, I know I'll need some more powerhouses. Probably 5. And then I'll make some more turbines. We've definitely overloaded our bots, but that's fine. Okay, so first step is redoing all of the raw coal processing. So the question that I have, we'll just make a new one, I think, to work on this Hellmod chain. So the question that I have is, with raw coal, because I think the whole goal here is to make coal gas. Yeah, that's the goal. And this excess coke is nice, but I don't necessarily need it. So the question is, will I get more coal gas from a few different ways of processing? And I feel like I might have already looked at this. Did I check this out? Okay, so coal gas. Let's just make the chains fresh. I don't remember exactly what all that was for. So if we use raw coal... we don't want ingredient. We want output. Okay. So we'll do ingredient input for all these. We'll just imagine 15 raw coal being crushed, processing all of that into regular coal, and then processing that into coal gas. And then, let's see, that's 93. The tar needs to also go into coal gas, and then coke. I would get 14 more. I mean, that's about a 10% boost, but it feels like a waste of coke. Coke can do a lot of things, so I don't think I want to do that process. Okay, so this guy will then make syngas using oxygen. Oh, and then we have more tar. So we actually need matrix solver in here. And there we go. So, wow, that's a lot of syngas from raw coal. So we can get 718 by doing the crushing process. Now I'm going to copy and then make a new block and then paste, delete that guy. And this is product input 15, but this time the recipe we're going to use is not the crushing, but the burning first. And then we won't have this recipe or this one. And matrix solver. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference. We use more power, but we get... That's actually interesting. We don't get a ton more syngas. I mean, 718 versus 623. It's about a 15% increase. But the main difference is the coke. We get 14 coke with this version, and we only get 2.7 with this version. So I'm trying to determine which one I want to do. think I'll go with this one just because having all of that coke could be useful. And I mean, if we want to imagine, let's say we did use the coke, then we reduced the usage. Let's say we only used 50% of it. I guess we can't do that because Matrix Solver is on. The nice thing is when you turn off Matrix Solver, it will automatically keep the percentages that it had figured out. So I missed, let's see, how much syngas does that add? It adds another 40. 722 to 768. Yeah, that makes a pretty significant difference then. So we'll go with this one. The tar needs to be lowered a little bit. 285. 286. This is why Matrix Solver is nice, is it keeps you from having to do this. 5.5. 6. 5.8. 5.9. 5. 9.3. It's annoying. It didn't used to do this. If you do 2 decimal places, it rounds the whole thing to the nearest whole percentage in terms of what it shows you, which means you can't just easily modify the last number. That's a more recent change in Hellmod. I don't know if that's a setting that I can change or if it's just kind of messed up, but I think this is the build we want to do. This will provide us with enough power for a long time, though this build will take a while. So I'll delete this block. And now I need to modify or add in an oxygen maker block. Want that to be its own block. And then we want to use all of this oxygen and syngas to make combustion mixture, which is somewhere. Where's combustion mixture? I'm on ingredient. Oh, right. Oxygen does not get used. Hydrogen gets used. Here we go. I still think I want to use biomass. That's going to be a lot easier than coke in the long run. So then we want ingredient input, and in this case it's 919.7. Hydrogen going in. I should probably move this up. And then we have syngas being turned into combustion mixture. Also using biomass. Move that up. And we switch it to ingredient input. And our input is 766. Can I link? Does that work? No, it does not. 766.4. So we will get an absolute crap ton of combustion mixture. So much that we're actually going to have to worry about pipes and their throughput. Like this one we'll have on 2 separate pipelines to make sure we don't cross over the 1,000, 900 to 1,000 is generally the threshold for flow rates in medium-sized pipe networks. In very large networks, 800 is the max, and in very small networks, you can get like 1,200 if you're careful with how many pipe sections you have. So if I kept this really tight, I might be able to fit all of that in, but I'd rather just keep it as 2 separate networks. And the amount of biomass we're going to need is absurd. So this build is going to take a while, but that's okay. Biomass, product. We're going to do the moss one. What are these recipes called? I wonder if I can search. It would be biomass dash moss is how I would find it, I think. Huh. Doesn't seem to be able to find it by that. So we will have to find the picture. Is that moss? Yes. Yeah, the recipe name is biomass-moss, but I guess you can't search by recipe name. So we'll make that its own little block. And the moss, we're going to, I think, just continue what we've been doing. We'll make the carbon dioxide from biomass, which is in the raw coal setting. I need to remember that. Let's see. We're going to unlink the block, because otherwise it will get very confused. And we want 36.79. Or to be more specific, 2208 divided by 60, because it tells you per minute. If you want to get real specific with decimals, 2208 over 60. And then matrix solver. Water, we need to think about. And that should do it. That's a lot of megawatts. Holy cow. 66 megawatts to make all of this biomass. But the alternative is needing the same amount of coke, 37 coke per second, which would require a decent amount of this raw coal just specifically to go to making coke, which we don't want to have to deal with. And it's also worth noting we get some coal dust output, which we should use somewhere. Potentially, I'm trying to think about where should we use that. We could use it to just power a couple steam engines, but because the steam that we need for, the powerhouses, or I guess it's a product, we just cool that off and loop it back, so it's not like we need steam for any of this. We'll figure out a way to use the coal dust. But yeah, let's start building this, I guess. I think, I'm trying to think about where to start. Gosh, 19 electrolyzers. You know what? This build is way too big. That's where we need to start, is reducing the size. I think I can link that. No, I can't. Why can I not link this? What if I turn all those off and then hit link? Oh, because those aren't defined as inputs. I guess. Because they're ingredient inputs, it doesn't link the same way. So, and I don't want to try linking these. I don't know what that might break. Also, I just realized these are using coal as fuel. They need to be using biomass, so that I don't have to worry about extra items. Or, well, again, I want to use coke as fuel, but the problem is I can't predetermine. I guess, you know what, I can. We're going to figure this out. So we'll use, actually, what are the odds the coal dust is enough? It's probably not. That's a stack of coal dust. There are so many different fuels in the list. Yeah, that requires 1.54, and this would require How much coal dust? 0.92? Is that actually... It's almost enough. That's bothersome. If we had just a little bit more coal dust coming out of this, we could actually just use coal dust to power them. The problem I'm getting at is there's no way to control what these inserters grab as fuel and what they grab. I mean, obviously they'll grab the biomass for the input because that's part of the recipe, but for fuel, they'll grab anything they see. And what I'm maybe thinking about as a problem is once they grab biomass for fuel, they'll never stop grabbing biomass because biomass is always available on this line. And so there's no way to have a filter on the fuel slot, which would actually be a good functionality for the game to have, potentially, is being able to have a filter here so that it'll only grab certain fuels. But once it starts grabbing, coal dust, for example, it will keep grabbing coal dust because it'll always fill this up before it fully empties out. So that would work, except for the problem is we don't have enough coal dust in the first place. So once coal dust runs out and it puts biomass in, then it'll never stop putting biomass, and then we'll have that issue of some of them will never stop putting biomass, and then the coal dust will back up. So instead of using coal dust, I could use coke. I will have enough coke, and we just have to pre-fill all of the fuel slots with coke. And I have plenty of output coke anyway, so I think that's actually good usage of it. And that will mean I won't have to make quite as much biomass. I could even have some of them use coke and some of them use coal dust, but that's probably getting a little too fancy. Okay, so we'll do that. And this is broken into... Oh, right, I'm reducing. Okay. So how much combustion mixture do I need? Let's do some quick and dirty math. Combustion mixture is 1 kilojoule per degree Celsius. That it's over 15. So currently we're getting about, let's see, where's my calculator? So for every raw coal input, we're getting 1150 divided by 15. So we're getting 76.6 of this temperature, which is 535 kilojoules. So we'll say 0.535 megajoules. And it's 42% of that actually gets used in the turbine. Their efficiency is 42%, I believe. So we're getting 17.2 megajoules from each raw coal, I believe. Is that right? It's a 76 combustion mixture. 42% of that, and then 535 kilojoules each. That sounds right. That's a lot. That's a lot of megajoules per raw coal. This is why we go through this process. So 17.227. I'll just put that there so I can see it. And then we also have 689.8 per 15. So that's that many at 520. So that's times 0.505 megajoules per unit times 42%. So we add that to 17.227, and we get a final output of 27 megajoules per raw coal. And we use, so we'll subtract 33 divided by 15, because we're using 33 megawatts, so it's about it's about 25 megawatts per raw coal per second. So 4 raw coal as an input would provide me 100 megawatts. So I think we'll create this build to handle 200 megawatts. Just feels underwhelming, to be honest. So let's go with 250 megawatts, which is 10 rock wool. I think that's what we'll go with. So then this number will change to 3656 divided by 60. And this number needs to change to 18394. Wait, isn't this linked? Interesting. Oh, that's ingredient input, right? So it doesn't connect up. So this needs to be 18394 divided by 60. Didn't work. Oh, the linking... No, it's still not working. Oh, so that is linking the hydrogen to here. That's weird. It didn't work with the moss, so something's weird with that block. Okay. So 36787 divided by 60. And finally, we will fix our compost. Which I really wish this would link properly. Control click, set main product. Does that work? Nope, still blows everything up when I link it. I wonder why. Because the hydrogen seemed to figure itself out. But anyway. Okay, well, we will turn off the matrix solver. Or no, the matrix solver stays on. We'll turn off the linking. And the output biomass needs to be 24.53. Sorry we've spent so long in Hellmod. Some of you might find this boring, but some of you might find it interesting, because this is the math behind the game. Okay, so this is what we're going to build. And it will provide up to 250 megawatts now, and once we get our turbine upgrades later, it'll provide 500 megawatts. So this should take care of our power needs for quite a while. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to end the episode here and do another episode, and I'll release both at the same time, and I'll just put a description in this video that if you don't want to see the planing, you can skip this episode. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.